Hey, welcome. It's Tuesday, and that means a new episode of Shooting the Shiznit. That's right. Every Tuesday, you guys can get on SoundCloud. You can also on Blog Talk Radio, and you can subscribe there on iTunes and not miss an episode. This is episode 9 of season 3, and it's the first episode in our Mania series. We're going to have 3 episodes about Mania. It's Mania season, so we're going to be talking about Mania. Just want to also throw out something there. We have not been promoting my Twitter page. It's at Comic Bookmark BT. That's at Comic Bookmark BT. If you guys will subscribe to that, follow me. What I'll do is on Monday night during Raw, I will tweet who the guest is going to be the next day. I know, guys, we don't announce who the guest is going to be till the day of the podcast. But now on Monday nights during Raw, I'll just tweet, hey, the guest tomorrow is going to be who the guest is going to be. Also, just want to mention that we are going to be announcing on April the 4th, which is also our last of our Mania series episodes. It will be me and Lance doing a Mania, after Mania special, Lance Levine. And we'll also be announcing where you can buy and join the T-shirt club. The T-shirt club is going to be a monthly T-shirt, something different, funny, serious, whatever. Something that we used to do with my old fanzine, Wrestling Riot. So we're going to go back to that. All the proceeds of those T-shirt sales will be going to the Wrestling Riot Network. No, I'm not going to spend any money going out to eat Taco Bell or anything. What I have learned, does take money. We do have a great audience, but I want to build it to a larger audience. So we're going to use that money to try to get us some more listeners. Been real excited about, and want to thank you guys, about how much of an audience that we have got. I do thank you guys, and the kind words you're saying about the last couple episodes. Everyone seemed to like not a lot of people knew who Jason Jones was, but just really loved the episode. The Jeff Bowden episode and the John McAdam episode, also very popular. I'm going to plan to bring both of those guys on because we, as you noticed, we kind of cut Bowden off at the end. We'll talk about that. We'll just start it off right there. And McAdam, he didn't get a lot of words in as I was talking all the time, but it is my podcast. No, we're going to bring John back on in a couple of months and talk about some VHS tapings and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and go to our guest today. On the line, so I'm going to bring him on. Today, this Tuesday on Shooting the Shiznit is officially Kevin Lawler Day. How's it going, Kevin?
It's going good, man. That's pretty good. That Kevin Lawler Day falls on St. Patrick's Day.
Well, these things are recorded, and then we're supposed to be kayfabing and act like it's on a Tuesday afternoon.
Oh, okay. Well.
Well, I record them in all kinds of times, and then we release everyone a new one there on Tuesday. How's life been treating you, Kevin?
Well, gosh, you of all people wouldn't know that. I think this is the first time I've spoken to you in probably 2 years. You just kind of dropped off the face of the earth on me until you need me to do your podcast. But
I know it. If I need something, I call you. So.
Do what?
I said if I need something, I call. If you see the thing about it is,
exactly.
Me and Kevin,
I'm sure you'll probably try to get me to do one of those T-shirt design things too that you were plugging just a second ago.
Well, yeah, I was thinking, I knew a couple artists in my life, so I need a Kevin Lawler T-shirt of some kind, And the one I'm thinking about the most.
You should take the design I did where I put your head on the Hulk's body that time and make a T-shirt out of it.
I still got that, so it's ready to be framed and put on my wall, if you will believe it or not. So,
all right.
The thing that we want to bring you on here and talk about a couple of things, but my mind's just going crazy for a T-shirt idea from you. But there's things that you've done in the business that a lot of people probably won't even know you were part of or what you did, and some fun stuff. And one thing was, this is kind of the Mania. Going to be broadcast during Mania week, and so we're going to sort of talk about the guys that are going to go into the Hall of Fame there. And I know two, the Rock and Roll Express and Kurt Angle, both real kind of important to me and you both because we've always talked about Kurt being such a great worker, maybe one of the best. And
well, not only that, but the fact that he actually started his wrestling career right here in Memphis, Tennessee, and I had the privilege of wrestling him in his very first ever match on Channel 5 on Saturday morning, back when it was the Power Pro days.
Right, that's what I want you to tell everyone about. I mean, why did they pick you, and was it hard to walk Kurt through that match, or how did the first match go?
Well, they picked me because they wanted Kurt to have some real competition. They wanted to make sure that that he could back up being this Olympic gold medalist. So they wanted to stick him in there with somebody that could really go toe to toe with him. And heck, man, when you talk about is almost a Hall of Famer, almost Olympic gold medalist, man, the Yellow Jacket definitely comes to mind. Anyway.
You're right. Yeah, you're right about that.
No, I think it was one of those things, seriously, where they not trying to put myself over or nothing like that, but I think they probably just knew that, man, Kurt was really limited at the time. Man, just really, really green, couldn't hardly do nothing, and they just wanted somebody that I guess they felt, safe with, that could go out there and just do the basics with him. And realistically, I mean, all we did was, they came to me and said, hey, this is all it's got to be. We were going to, we lock up. I basically, give him an arm drag out of the lockup. I kind of, celebrate like, woohoo, I got over on this guy. And then I turn around and he just gives me a belly. And that was it. Because that's about all he could do back then, And that was the whole match, And, look where he is now.
Yeah, at that point, though, I had I've told you this story before, but I haven't really told it on Shooting The Shiznit. But I remember Angle and Sean Stasiak were both in the area at the same time, and I told a friend of mine, I said, Stasiak's going to be a star. That Angle, he's never going to be anything. So.
Yeah, and I really felt the same way. Back then I thought that, because Stasiak, he had a great look. He was like a third generation guy. You just thought for sure this guy was going to make it. And Kurt just always came across like he just didn't want to be there. He just always came across like he just wasn't interested in the wrestling business, didn't really care about it, didn't appreciate it, didn't respect it. Just, he back then he hadn't got it yet. He hadn't got bit by the bug, and he just hadn't found his own and just hadn't got it. And I just kind of thought, man, this is going to be just another one of these guys they send down here and just falls to the wayside.
Yeah, you got who are some other guys that that ended up that came down there for just a little bit, and maybe you didn't think they were going to be such a big deal, but they ended up shining big too.
Well, probably the biggest surprise of the guys that was around during that time that I just never really imagined him doing anything, and he turned out to be a pretty big star, was Crash Holly. He was here at that same time, when they first brought him in. He was just Aaron O'Grady, kind of this, leaping leprechaun kind of character that they called him. And just to me at that time, he had just brown hair and just there was nothing really special about him, And once they put that Crash Holly gimmick on him, it just, was a whole different deal. But also, let's see, back then, another guy that was around that he had good look, good size. I didn't really think, he would do a whole lot, although it might really just depend on how you kind of look at it. But, he was Baldo here, but, there he was Prince Albert and went on to become A-Train and Tenzai and all that kind of stuff. And now, works big time, with NXT is, Matt Bloom, so I guess really with him, it just probably wrestling-wise, he didn't have just this big, huge career, but just the fact that he's still out there and doing what he's doing now, you know, is a good career. The funny story about him, when they first signed him and brought him in, because he was just this big, bald-headed guy, real hairy, the gimmick that they actually was gonna put on him was he was gonna be George the Animal Steele's son. And then then that just never really came to pass. I guess they started getting more into the attitude stuff and further away from the gimmicky stuff like that. And because, man, just imagine if he was George Steele's son, man, his career would have lasted about 6 months if he was lucky, probably. But by doing the other stuff at the time, it worked out better for him.
He's just one of those guys that, I remember him being here and not being. I kind of made fun of him because of his name, and then when he went to Japan, it's when everybody started looking at him and thinking, this guy can do something, and then just getting in the program and being part of, like you said, he's part of the success of NXT. Being the main trainer there, so you got to think part of it is him. He's got to be part of it. And also we got.
And now that I think about it, I'll tell you somebody else that was here at one time that I really never saw anything out of. He was, I guess he, could do some pretty good stuff in the ring, but just his look and everything, I never would have imagined that he would have went on to the greatness that he did today. Was Daniel Bryan.
Right. Well, Daniel was under the mask, right? He did American Dragon here.
Yeah, he did. He did the American Dragon thing here, and but like I said, I would have never thought he would have turned out the way he did.
I think no one.
And
really
at the same time, like it's, Brian Kendrick was here the exact same time that Daniel Bryan was here. R-Truth. A lot of these guys was here all at that same time.
Yeah, that was that's a hell of a crew there to think about it. That and Brian Kendrick is actually on Raw now, so 205 Live and Raw, so he's still working. The other Hall of Fame that I was excited about going in and being fans as a kid of the guys, not really big fans of theirs, but always fans of their matches because I was always more of a fan of Cornette and the Midnight Express. But when they started there in Memphis, that was your dad's idea, right?
Right. Yeah, it was one of those situations where it was almost really just they were really put together almost just kind of out of spite and competition. Like Jerry Jarrett had created the Fabulous Ones, and it just went over huge. Anybody in this area can, that grew up around this area can tell you how big the Fabulous Ones was. It was just so big. Yeah. So really it was one of these kind of deals where my dad was like, all right, well, man, I can't let, Jarrett kind of, show me up on this, so I'm going to put two guys together and make a team out of them and see if I can make them, equal or more popular than the Fabs, So he just took Rick Morton and Robert Gibson, who were just basically at the time just two preliminary guys, threw them together and basically just kind of gave them a bunch of bandanas and cut up T-shirts and, like some, what they would have called like hot pants back in the day. They weren't even really like wrestling tights or anything. They're just kind of like these spandex type pants, and threw them together and, called them the Rock and Roll Express. Shot the old school Memphis videos and hell, man, I think it's safe to say that, maybe not around here, but on a worldwide scale, they definitely outlasted and was more successful than the Fabulous Ones.
Oh yeah. You would think, you here now when like you said, the Fabs, you just would not realize how over Steve and Stan were unless you were in this area. But that's what was so funny that it. I think of a lot of the things that your dad came up with, but the Rock and Roll, could we safely say they might be the most successful gimmick that he came up with? Did he come up with Kamala, or was that Jarrett that did that?
He came up with Kamala, which even though, man, Kamala's up there. I would probably say even as successful as the Kamala gimmick was and everything, I still say that Rock and Roll Express was probably the most successful.
Right, and they were not. And this is the truth about Memphis, and the reason they didn't get over as well in Memphis is because everyone thought they were a second-rate Fabulous Ones, and when they did leave and go to Mid-South, they were the team. And then going to NWA and doing this stuff in Charlotte and everything, and then I seen Ricky maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I guess 4 or 5 years ago, and he still was excited about wrestling, just, in the dressing room talking 90-0, and just, seemed to have a good time with everybody and the whole thing. So people doing it that long and still going at it, and they work every weekend. He's got his own school now, but it's kind of exciting seeing him go in. So rumors, and you might know a little insight in this, but rumors is that Cornette's going to be the one that inducts him into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that same rumor. I haven't heard Cornette say anything about it himself. He may be waiting to get a little closer, make it a surprise or something like that. But yeah, that's the rumor. I really wish that Shawn Michaels would induct him, just because he's always put him over as having them being such a big influence and everything.
Right.
And I think that would just kind of help give them a little bit more kind of notoriety and credibility, to like today's fan base and stuff like that.
And you got a team. It's your Hall of Fame WWE. How much does it mean when it comes? Because you know more about this than I do, because you still promote wrestling. How much would that mean on a poster, or how much would that mean? Would they start asking for more money or and such, or what does that actually mean when it comes to being on the Hall of Fame? Because I know you book a couple Hall of Fame guys like Coco Ware and guys like that. Does that mean more money, or does it even mean anything?
Yeah, that's what they what they like to try to do is get more money, because now all of a sudden they're in a different bracket and everything.
Right. Okay, now we got about 5 minutes left. I know it went by real quick. It always does. But I want to hear the story, because you've told it to me, and I know a lot of people that know that you're responsible for this. Kind of give the story about the Christmas creature.
Well, the story about the Christmas creature was that, of course, if anybody who might not know was Glenn Jacobs, Kane, and what happened was, he was here in Memphis at one time back in like 92, and wasn't here long at all, and just one of these things where he was here, and they just didn't really have anything for him. He just didn't last, and here briefly sitting back, and then I had just kind of started promoting wrestling events at the time, and was gonna do an event close around Christmas time, and we just didn't have any bad guys at the time, like in the territory. Man, we just didn't have anybody that was of any marquee value that you could kind of put in a main event spot, with my dad. So kind of like creating Kamala or Rock and Roll Express or whatever, I had just kind of drawn up and created this big monster, this Christmas creature, that was kind of like, hey, well, since we don't have anybody, let's just kind of create somebody and just kind of give them a lot of, mystery and intrigue where people might, would be, want to come see it out of just curiosity, And I kind of had Glenn in mind at the time, because he was just a, big, massive guy. And so I designed it up and took it to my dad and showed it to him. And he's like, yeah, I guess. I mean, if he can do it. And so I contacted Glenn, told him about it. And, this was back before, cell phones, internet, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So everything was still kind of prehistoric back then. So luckily Glenn's mother could sew and everything. So I basically drew it up, sent the design up there. His mother, put the outfit together, sold it, sent it back to me, and then I had somebody here actually put the pencil and the lights on it. And then I met him, at the show that night is when I first ever, gave him the outfit, and he put it on and wore it for the first ever time. But it was just that combination of, his mother being around him where she could actually, get his measurements and measure him and make the suit and then send it back to me to put all the extra stuff on there. And it just so happened that it was on a Friday night, and we do TV the very next day on Saturday. And with it being like that, it just happened to be a town where, Jerry Jarrett and Jeff, came to the show and was going to go ahead and just, I guess, come in, stay over, and then do TV the next day. And Jerry Jarrett ended up kind of, liking and was impressed with the gimmick so much that it kind of got Glenn booked on a regular basis, back in Memphis. And so from there, that kind of just, spawned him to start getting, more bookings other places and eventually into Smoky Mountain, which is what, ultimately led him, to the WWE at the time. It was really just designed to kind of be like just a one-shot, character and show, just out of necessity and because, we just didn't have anybody. And then, like I said, it just, I guess with the timing being closer on Christmas and they liked it and just decided, oh yeah, hey, we might get a little mileage out of this character.
and it's become infamous as like one of the worst gimmicks or whatever. And I always thought it was so silly to consider it one of the worst gimmicks when people just didn't get it. It was just it was just something that you did spur of the moment. It was for that, and it's one of these websites that do worst gimmicks or something. Always, but Christmas Creature. I remember seeing, and Glenn was just big. That's the thing about it was, and
right.
Which that's what got him. Perfect opponent for your dad. And always the kind of guy that your dad liked to work the big guys where he sold a lot and he made the comeback, So that's, he was the perfect guy for that. And looked, I seen the drawing. I don't know if it's a drawing that you did after the fact or what, but someone had, maybe you put it up on Facebook or, and then someone shared it.
That one was one that was done fairly recent, that wasn't like the original, design for it and everything like that. But
that might be a perfect T-shirt for Shooting the Shiznit here, the Christmas Creature T-shirt. So, if we get a lot of response for Christmas Creature T-shirt, it'll be something for December for Kevin to make some money and me.
Yeah,
too,
and
so.
I haven't been able to make it happen yet, but I've actually talked to Mick Foley about since he does a lot of these Christmas-related books. I've talked to Mick Foley about, hey, man, can we do like a joint collaboration and make make some kind of a, 'twas the Nightmare of the Christmas Story, book and everything, but just haven't been able to, make that happen yet.
Well, that's just, it's awesome. I've told you this about your art. It's just, it's kind of like, you told me it's inherited kind of thing. It's not like you were professionally trained or anything. You just all of a sudden I can draw. So, well, hey Kevin, I'm gonna let you get off here. I know you work at nights, and that's why we used to talk so much. And I work in days now. I want to thank you for coming on. We'll bring you on some other time and talk about other things. But I do appreciate it. You have a great night. And I'll let you know when we air it, and then you can tell all your fans and friends about it. Okay?
Awesome. Sounds good, man.
All right. Have a good night. Hey, I just want to say thank you again to all the guests we've had so far, including Kevin just then. We're going to close this episode up of Shooting the Shiznit. Remember, you can reach me at Comic Book Mark BT, Comic Book Mark BT, at Comic Book Mark on Twitter. We'll be releasing the guests. We'll be releasing them on Monday nights. Also coming soon is here on the Wrestling Riot Network will be the monthly T-shirt club. That's right, monthly T-shirt club will be available for 30 days only, and boom, they are gone. All proceeds will go to help us here at the show. So this list, and remember, guys, we are, and this is for you, Jamie Ward, we are the best little wrestling podcast in the business. See you guys next week.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
Don't miss the Ace Buy 2 Get 1 Free paint sale. Now through Monday only. Buy 2 gallons of our top paint brands, Valspar, Clark & Kensington, and Royal, and get the third gallon free. That's right, buy 2 gallons, get 1 free. You know what else is free? The help, because the paint experts at your local Ace will take the time to make sure you get everything you need in one trip. Brushes, rollers, tape, everything. Only at Ace. Offer valid through March 20th. Prices may vary. Limit 2 free gallons of equal or lesser value. See